How can recruiting, retaining and advancing women be a key driver for helping build inclusive economies?
Great. So we always talk about how tech is, the fourth industrial revolution. We talk about how there are so many things that tech can solve, whether it's the climate crisis, education gap. But what we sometimes forget is that there are people who fuel that. People who fuel that, who have opinions, who have skills, and the more diverse the workforce who is part of that tech industry, the better the outcomes can be for a more diverse population. However, we know that at the moment, only 20% of those people who are studying technical skills are women. We also know that in tech leadership today, it's about 20 to 25% women in those positions. So we are not yet at that place where we can have that diverse set of opinions, if you will, participating in this big wave of the economy. And we also know that 9 out of 10 of the most lucrative positions in the future are going to be in tech. And being able to have an inclusive population be part of that means that we will be able to affect, frankly, more broadly, economic equality, which is why we talk about having then the levers of recruitment, retention, and advancement in organizations who are working on tech be inclusive.
Right. So, and I know we were chatting just beforehand, you were saying, obviously, you've done some research into how companies in tech can close the gender pay gap.
Yeah.
Can you share a bit of information on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, yeah, obviously, really, really great insight.
Yeah. So we looked at how different paths to the top have been experienced between men and women in tech. And firstly, I'm going to start with the similarities. So you have both men and women demonstrating exceptional technical skills when they rise to the top. No surprise there. You have also men and women who are willing to take risks. They actually enjoy taking risks in terms of putting themselves forward for new opportunities. And they're flexible in terms of the roles they take, the geographies they operate in, and the functions they undertake. Those are things in common. And also, I would add, they are ambitious. So we sometimes hear about an ambition gap. Men are more ambitious than women. Actually, our research showed that that is a myth. So women are as equally wanting to have that next career step just as much as men are. However, there are certain challenges that women face that our study showed are happening around the world. So we looked at multiple different countries. So firstly, women take longer career breaks. That affects their advancement. You see it sometimes order of magnitude different. So in some countries, like in Germany, women take 4 times as long time off for parental leave than men do. You also see that women have to prove their technical skills more than men. You might have heard of something called an authority gap. That is something that we found in our research was confirmed. Women are second-guessed more about their technical skills, which obviously in the tech world makes a difference in your ability to rise to the top. And then we also found, I guess, more softer things, just to pull up one or two more. Women have fewer role models. That makes it harder to, of course, envision where they might be. They might be opting out more. And also, when it comes to pursuing that next step, we heard earlier today mention of sponsorship and mentorship being important for women and minorities in general to advance. It's super important for women. That is the way in which they rely upon for thinking, yes, I can achieve that next career step. And actually, for women of color, this is particularly important. So our research showed that women of color, especially in a hybrid setting, have found it harder to form strong relationships with mentors or sponsors. So something really important as we look at the differences between men and women is that role of external networks.
Right. I'm conscious of time, but one thing that came up in one of the sessions earlier today was reference, obviously, the challenges around talent. I think Anne mentioned it in the opening session. How quickly do you think we can make progress in the tech sector? And I guess also alongside that, we've got a lot of executives here in the room. What advice would you give them of what they can do with their businesses, particularly in this sector?
Well, I'm glad you asked the question, Duncan, because I have some advice, and as I'm on stage, I will give it. We have 4 recommendations for organizations to really move the needle. And genuinely, to answer your question, I think we could go from 20 to 25% women in tech leadership to, let's say, 30% within 5 years, genuinely. If you do the math, it works out. Here are the 4 things. 1, create support networks. Invest in mentorship schemes, sponsorship schemes, coaching, affiliation networks. They make a difference. 2, promote role models. Be role models yourself, whether you're a man, woman. Be a role model and promote them and make sure that you are shining a light on them. Thirdly, create inclusive culture when it comes to caregiving, when it comes to respecting caregiving rules, when it comes to creating a culture where it's celebrated to take time off. And then finally, make sure that you are measuring this. So if it's not discussed at the boardroom, it's not really going to be tracked. So that's the 4th and quite critical measure. And I think with these in place, organizations can get to, and we talk about the 30% number being an important one because some studies have shown that tech organizations with 30% women in leadership have 15% higher profits. So this really pays off.